Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Funky Rainbow's Book Bazaar. It's such a pleasure to be back with a bazaar after a couple of weeks, and I can see some of our friends are up here already this rainy Saturday morning. Not so rainy actually in Bangalore, but the monsoons have well and truly come to India. I know the meteorological department did say that, the monsoons have absolutely set into India. I can see Tilaka Raju from Sneha Shreya saying good morning to us. CA Pooja Ailwadi, what a pleasure. Good morning to you. Damien Ward, good morning. Really, a rainy Saturday morning, we were hoping it would be, but it is quite bright and sunny in Bangalore this morning, telling us one wonderful thing about the rains. They are so unpredictable. But what we promise to do is to bring you a deluge of Indian children's books that feature the rain, that feature monsoon. So, again, a very, very good morning to all of you, our friends who are joining us on Facebook, joining us on Instagram, and joining us on YouTube to a book bazaar after a couple of weeks. I mean, we've been locked down, we've not been receiving books from publishers for over 1.5 months now, and our collection of books somewhat dwindling, but there's always enough to be able to recommend for sure. So the thing is, to all our friends who are joining us on Instagram, we have a guest. We feature a guest at the Book Bazaar every week, and today's guest who will join us at 12:30 is a wonderful writer and storyteller. And we are not able to live stream that segment on Instagram. So I'll tell you that again closer to the time. If you can go to our YouTube page, or if you can go to our Facebook channel and watch that interview and that storytelling session, I can guarantee you tons and tons of fun and, a rainy, lovely Saturday. As always, all our books up on our website, www.funkyrainbow.com. Please click on the tag that says Book Bazaar, a drop-down menu. The first thing on the drop-down menu will be, a title called Monsoon. We're featuring all the books that we have in our collection, some in stock, some not in stock, but all up at the Monsoon Bazaar. Definitely more books than we can recommend, in the show. There is really, I can see Muttama, our partner at Funky Rainbow, saying a big hello to us, a big hello going out to you too, my dear. And, soon I think we'll be doing a bazaar from the same place, from Funky Rainbow's office. The thing is, there's just something so glorious about the Indian monsoon. And, I think the monsoon is so conducive to, snuggling up in a corner and reading a book if you want to, drinking something hot chocolate chai, eating some pakodas. But it's also so conducive, for all of us, children or adults, to be out in the rain, to have the raindrops falling on your head, to splash in those puddles, and to get drenched in the lovely, lovely rain. I mean, there's so much of a pleasure in that. And there's just something about the monsoon that makes, that ties up so beautifully with literature and art of all kinds. I mean, I think some of our best songs, whether, they're Bollywood music or whether it's music from the West, I mean, we can, each one of us, rattle off so many, many songs that are composed on the rain, isn't it? I mean, singing in the rain, raindrops keep falling on my head, rim jhim gire savan. So many beautiful songs, that are written for the rains. Also, lovely books. Besides children's books, lots of wonderful books on the theme of rain. Kalidasa's Meghadutam, the Cloud Messenger, a beautiful poem about heavy rain drenched clouds, carrying messages from from one lover to the other. And yes, monsoons and romance, my gosh, I don't even have to tell you how conducive that really is. I can see Muttama saying it's also best to be cuddling up with your dogs. Indeed, for all of you who have pets at home, such a lovely season to sit back, relax, cuddle with your pets, cuddle with your kids, and read some lovely rainy books. We can see Vijay Lakshmi Nagaraj here. She's going to join us later in the show as the guest of the show, but delighted that she signed right in saying, "Hi, Team Funky Rainbow, and the Bazaar buzz is on with the monsoon magic." Indeed, and a lot of that monsoon magic will be certainly created by Vijay Lakshmi herself when she joins us a little later in the show. So looking forward to it, Vijay. Looking forward to a rainy Saturday with, even if it's not raining outside, looking forward to your stories raining on us this lovely Saturday. I'm going to start off with a clutch of recommendations, and we have a broad kind of theme. We've got books about clouds, we've got books about umbrellas, we've got books about getting wet in the rain, we've got books about rainwater harvesting, and with that we have a nice bric-a-brac of lovely children's books for kids of all ages, starting from newborns going up to young adults. I mean, if we had time, we would love to recommend one or two wonderful books for adults as well, but we always run out of time. And I'm going to say, definitely, the book that really changed my life, or sort of, I won't even say changed my life, a book that I thoroughly enjoyed reading when I was in my late 20s was Alexander Freitas' Chasing the Monsoon. My God, it's a 2-month journey that he undertakes in India, from right down from when the monsoon hits Kerala till the time that it exits from the northeast, and he's chasing the monsoon through, traveling through the country along with the monsoon. What a spectacular, splendid book it is for adults to chase the Indian monsoon. And that's a dream. One day, Funky Rainbow will chase the monsoon with a huge collection of children's books, going all the way from the tip of India, Kanyakumari, to the other tip of India, Jammu and Kashmir, and then to the northeast as well, really. So yes, keeping fingers crossed and hoping those dreams will really come true. But, till then, on the internet, at least, definitely. I'm going to start off. I can see Muttama saying, my Baba is mentioned in the book. Is that Chasing the Monsoon that you're referring to? How very wonderful. That is such a lovely book. And I have to reread it to see how, in what context he has been thanked in the book or acknowledged in the book. How very wonderful to know that, really.
Vidya,
Yes?
somebody from sunny side.
Sorry?
Somebody from sunny side.
Where is that? Hi, hello. I can see Navya there this morning as well. Thank you. So lovely that you've joined us at the bazaar. So I know we were not here for 2 weeks because we were running this, interactive family event called Sunny Side Up, of stories and art and craft and activities for 2 weeks, basically. And that's why we took a break from the bazaar. But otherwise, our Saturday mornings are always bazaar mornings where we recommend books for children, mostly to adults, but a lot of children watching as well. I'm going to start off with my first recommendation for the day, which is such a charming, lovely book in our collection. This is Look Up by Kavita Punyamurthy and illustrated by Ruchi Masane. And why do we start with Look Up? It's a beautiful, imaginative book, about two children who look up at the sky and look at the clouds there Oh, what a pleasurable activity it indeed is. Ruchi Masane's beautiful muted pastels creating such an atmospheric feel to the story. And of course, Kavita Punyamurthy letting her two protagonist children's imagination just absolutely take flight. So, of course, like little children do, they look up and the two kids, Mimi and Gullu, they see laddus in the sky. And, while Gullu says, look, there are laddus up in the sky, Mimi giggles and says, oh, well, look, there are mice that are eating up those laddus just now. I think, my gosh, what a beautiful way to spend a morning lying on the green ground and looking up at the blue sky, looking at the clouds and guessing what shapes those clouds take. Children and adults, I mean, such a pleasurable thing to do together. And we thought we should start because when it's time to rain, it's always lovely to look up and see the clouds. Well, this one we'd recommend for 3+ year olds. This is a bilingual book. I mean, we have presently in stock an English Hindi book and an English Malayalam version as well. But, a charming, really a charming picture book, if ever there was one, published by Tulika, priced at 165 rupees. Like I said, all our books up at the bazaar. So click www.funkyrainbow.com, click on the tab that says Book Bazaar, and the first tab will say Monsoon. All the books that we're recommending and the ones that we cannot as well on this theme up there. You can buy them at a 10% discount. There's a coupon code. Please do use it and pick it up if any of the books that we recommend to you interest you. Our next recommendation for this morning, a charming little counting book called One Rainy Day. Well, what a great way to do counting, by taking the example of a beautiful rainy day. This one's a board book, so we really recommend it for really young readers, maybe 1-2 years old as well. So this book goes, written by Shobha Vishwanath and illustrated by Ashwati P.S. and Anusha Sundar. Well, there's one dark cloud looming large over a city. And what happens immediately after? Two gentle raindrops coming down on the city. Pitter patter, the sound of those raindrops. And you're picking up counting skills, but also such a beautiful story that can be woven in while you are doing some counting. I mean, and the way the illustrators have sort of mixed collage, they've added collage, a combination of collage, photography, and design to beautifully capture a rainy day. 3 croaking frogs. Yes, of course, the minute pitter patter comes down, 3 croaking frogs, that come out and go croak, croak, and so on. We go on up to, I'm very tempted to show you the last page because it's got so much to do with us, and I will actually just show you the last page. Oh, wow. And finally, one bright, colorful rainbow, so relevant to Funky Rainbow, because that's what we're all about. Colorful books, in so many colors, and you can see that right behind us, in more colors than they exist in the rainbow. This is a beautiful board book meant for our youngest readers. We'd say definitely 1+ year olds, or depending these age groups that we prescribe, they're just, for the children that you're working with, the better thing, which book works for those children. This one published by Karadi, priced at 499 rupees. Muttama saying, one croaking frog is me. I shall, we shall leave that to Funky Rainbow's 4 walls, because I think if we really look, there may be croaking frogs, braying donkeys, and a lot of other creatures just within Funky Rainbow's walls itself. Our next recommendation this rainy Saturday morning is one of, I think I will just very, very easily say that it's my most favorite rainy day book ever, and has been for such a long time, a children's book. Sunu Sunu Snail, Storm in the Garden, written by Sandhya Rao and illustrated by Ashok Rajagopalan. My God, what a beautiful rainy day book this is. So, what is it all about? It's about young Sunu Sunu, who's a young snail, who goes off to play with his friends, the ants. And you can see Sunu Sunu the snail was visiting his friends, the ants. And of course, they climbed all over him. He. They're having like tons of fun, of course. They climbed under him. He. Suddenly, a great white light crashed through the clouds. And look what Sunu Sunu did. He pulled his head in, he pulled himself in, and retreated into the shell. What a beautiful book filled with sounds of the rain. I mean, the ants take refuge under a plant. The crows are going ka ka ka, and the sounds of the rain that come out when it is well and truly raining. An absolute pleasure for Indian readers, especially who are used to these lovely sounds. I saw the trees sway, shy, 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 shy. I saw the lightning flash, zazak, 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 zazak. My God, this book is such a pleasure. So Sunu Sunu, sees the storm, hurries back to his mother, and he wants to tell her everything that he saw. And he's recounting all these wonderful sounds, to his mother, the sounds of the rain, the sounds of thunder, the sounds of this swaying breeze. Such a wonderful rainy day story. And Ashok Rajagopalan's, really affectionate pictures. I mean, such heartwarming, beautiful illustrations that he's made for the book, evoking a snail's eye view of the world. This one we'd recommend for 2+ year olds, and it's priced at 135 rupees. And I've got to say, Ashok Rajagopalan's a dear, dear friend of Funky Rainbows. And, 2 years ago, when the world was quite normal, and, he visited us in Bangalore to do a school program with us where, he stayed a couple of days with us, and we took him to a bunch of schools. He brought us a lovely, lovely gift. And I have to say, Sham, our partner at Funky Rainbow, reminded me of this lovely gift just this morning. And I do want to share it with you on the bazaar. The original, he's autographed some original illustrations from Sunu Sunu Snail and gifted them to us at Funky Rainbow. You can see this wonderful original illustration gifted to us, and we're going to, one day when, so many writers and illustrators giving us, their first art and their first books, we are definitely going to put these up on display, hopefully sometime soon. You can see, autographed by Ashok, these beautiful sketches from the book Sunu Sunu Snail. Really the bestest gift that we've ever received. I mean, especially because it is such a favorite story and such a favorite book. Simply delighted that we have this. Yes, Rupa Baliga, it's indeed a treasure, and it's a treasure that we want everyone else to treasure as well. We want to find a space where we can put out so many things up on display. But a big shout out and a big thank you going out to our dearest friend Ashok Rajagopalan, and that that has made our lives so much richer, so much more nicer. Muttama saying, will you share the gift you got from Ashok? Well, all my books from the last 20 years, children's books, paintings, I mean, like gifts from writers and illustrators, they all belong to Funky Rainbow. And I've said this to you many times, Muttama, it's our next generation of kids, especially your daughter, who's really a bookworm, who has to help take this legacy forward, really. Yes, and I know you had this wonderful idea of being able to set up some kind of museum at some point in time. We're going to start working on it. I really hope we get support from people to set this Indian children's, literature museum up sometime soon. I can see Tulika Pillai saying, I love Sunu Sunu the snail. Absolutely. What a lovable, lovable character. I just had to share this one with you, especially because Sham reminded me just in time saying, hey, shall we show them the original artwork from this book? Our next recommendation, I move on to the next recommendation. And of course, Sunu Sunu, we'd recommend for 2+ year olds, published by Tulika, priced at 135 rupees. Our next book this morning, again, a charming picture book for 3+ year olds called Come, written by Rashmi Dastidar and illustrated by Rumani Kulkarni, begins. I mean, it's not entirely a rainy day book, but you can see this spread of the clouds calling out to the rain. So actually the book is all about things in nature, the stars calling out to the sun, the clouds calling out to the rain. What a beautiful way of showing how things change. I can see Prerna Agarwal saying, I just love the book. I'm assuming you refer to Sunu Sunu the snail. Absolutely. It's got to be easily my favorite rainy day children's book. So heartwarming, so lovely, so perfect to be sitting with a child on a rainy day and reading and enjoying it. But back to Come at the moment, all about small changes that take place in nature, portrayed for children in a very charming and simple way. Like, you can see the pictures sort of literally flow into each other. So you see, Come said the seed to the plant, and in a very gentle, simple way, the writer showing Come saying the stars to the sun, really talking about how things change in nature, and to give children an idea of movement and change in nature. And of course we put it in because we love this one about Come saying the clouds to the rain. Again, it's a book that you can use and interpret in so many wonderful ways with your child. I mean, there are only these simple lines in the story, so you can literally weave a story around the lines of the book. We'd recommend this for 3+ year olds, and it's priced at 125 rupees.
Reminded me of the another Thai series.
We don't have that one, of course. Sham was, talking about a wonderful series that he had put together for Pratham, many, many years ago, called the Sister Sister series. Sister Sister, where does the sun go at night? Sister Sister, there's one in the series called Sister Sister, where does thunder come from? You can read that Sister Sister series on Storyweaver, and the Thunder book, gorgeously illustrated by Grey-Stroke. Sham donning his illustrator avatar as Grey-Stroke, and written by the lovely writer Rupa Pai. I'm afraid we don't have copies of those books in print, but you can read them. And the Where Does Thunder Come From, evoking the feel of the rain so beautifully while telling you the science behind rain and thunder and rain. Our next set of books, again, a lovely, charming, set of books, which we really, recommended to so many Montessori schools, actually. This one called Let's Catch the Rain, written and illustrated by Vinod Lal Hira Ishwar. What a charming little book. I mean, it's a book that should be at every home. I mean, in fact, the pair of books, there's this one called Let's Catch the Rain, and the complementary book to it called Let's Plant Trees, which is actually the book that came first. Let's Plant Trees is the book that Vinod Lal Ishwar wrote first. And then, because it was so popular, he did Let's Catch the Rain. What is Let's Catch the Rain all about? Well, just see how nicely it begins. Let's catch the rain, he says, writes and draws, and then he says, in buckets and bottles. And then we go on to say, in pools and schools. I mean, what a lovely, lovely way to tell our youngest readers, and we'd say 3+ year olds, about about the big rain. I mean, and of course, you when you go further, you'll see, we let's catch the rain in pots and pans, and you can see these big monsoon clouds. But the message of the book is like a nice and simple and effective one. Rainwater is free, rainwater is pure, rainwater is precious. Let us save it. You and me and all the children we know can do their bit every day, every single time when it rains, to catch this precious resource. I think it's a lovely message in a simple book, which we'd recommend for 3+ year olds, priced at 75 rupees. And we'd suggest that you buy it, along with Let's Plant Trees as well, because this simple book is about what trees can do for you. It says trees are fun, trees give us trees clean the air, and there is one lovely spread which says trees bring us rain. Beautiful childlike visuals that actually play with the shape of the tree, making this an imaginative and inspiring book in multiple ways. We would recommend that you pick them up as a pair. As I said, meant for 3+ year olds, each priced at 75 rupees. Our next recommendation this morning is again a really charming book called I Love Rain. Oh my, who doesn't love the rain, really? This one written by Pia Rena and illustrated by Aisha Dev. And I love the dedication of this book. I mean, Pia Rena, I wonder where she lives. I feel that she perhaps doesn't live in India, but the book is dedicated to her Mama Jan, the best weather woman ever, because her mother had the ability to smell a rainy day, and boy, what a lovely smell that is, before it rains and after it rains as well. Love the dedication of the book. And here she begins saying, rainy days are my favorite. And I'm just going to read you this short bit because I enjoyed it so much. Sometimes my mom lets me miss a day at school because it means she will have to drive me there in the rain, and she doesn't like to drive so much. But I secretly think she just wants me to be home with her in the rain. Oh, what a lovely, lovely book it is. What a lovely start to the rainy weather. And we urge many of you, I know most children are doing schooling online. When the monsoons hit your city, just take that one day off. It doesn't matter. These are the lovely things that make life so much more worthwhile. Not saying that school is not fun, but sure, one day of just snuggling together with family and enjoying the rains will do a lot to lift our spirits. And of course, the book goes on, about making hot chocolate, drinking hot chocolate, then putting on your raincoat and gum boots and going out in search of rainbows. It talks about instruments, the sounds of instruments that can recreate the sound of pitter patter, and about reading lovely books in the rain. Oh my God, what a lovely love! What pleasures of a rainy day this book truly recreates. Of course, it's there are two recipes added into the book at the end, which you can do with your child, or the whole family can make together: spaghetti with tomato sauce and hot chocolate. Adult supervision needed to make both these goodies, but sure, you must try this at home someday. We'd recommend this for 4+ year olds. It's published by Tota Books and priced at 250 rupees. Muttama saying, the sens are threatening to get wet in the rain. Ga, I'm rolling my eyes. Delighted, let them go there and get wet in the rain, Muttama, and then we'll join you for that lunch of spaghetti and hot chocolate.
Rolling eyes is nonsense.
And Charm has a lovely joke. Rolling eyes is nonsense, of course. Like, okay. Good one. Anyway, our next recommendation this morning I mean, we're talking of the charm of rains. We're talking of the beauty of like being out with the raindrops falling on your head, humming a tune in your head, like jumping into muddy puddles, and generally just having loads of fun. But there are times when a lot of rain can be quite scary, right? And we have in recent times witnessed quite a few torrential rains in cities across India, and perhaps across the world, where the rains have gotten really scary. And our next book is one that a mother wrote for her young son when the Kerala floods happened 2 years ago. And, I mean, I'm sure children were inundated with visuals of, in the news of, like, houses, sort of floating away, people in distress, and the rains just beating down torrentially. So, our next recommendation, a wonderful book actually, and a book filled with hope, but, showing you that heavy rains can cause some damage, or sometimes heavy damage to our lives. Such a lovely book written by Gayatri Bashi and illustrated by T.R. Rajesh, called Big Rain. Now, the thing is, rain, of course, like I said, can be fun, but sometimes lots of rain can be frightening when water comes into our homes and washes everything away. Is this a book that spells doom and disaster? No, not at all. It just sends our children and the youngest of readers such a good and important message on ecological conservation. So you see, it says the rain came down on fields and forests, and you can see these beautiful visuals accompanying. And you know what it says? On houses and people, on cycles and trains, lots of rain. Of course, it goes on to say, the water came up, filling the dams, and of course, so on and so forth. But I have to say, it's not a doomsday prophecy in any way. It just tells you that natural calamities, and our children need to know, they're inundated with these visuals, from the newspapers and from TV channels. And I think the book enables excellent conversations. It not just enables conversations, it also empowers children to make a difference to our environment, to save it, to protect it, and to ensure, perhaps in small ways, that natural calamities do not befall us. I mean, I think it's a wonderful addition to our shelves, and this one we'd recommend for 5+ year olds, priced at 175 rupees, published by Tulika. It was written by a mother for her 3-year-old. So it's, if you want to, and we know even recently, just like 2-3 days ago, Mumbai inundated with floods. I mean, inundated by the rain that had flooded, so many areas in Mumbai. It's a great book to start conversations about natural calamities, natural disasters, and how we can do our bit to prevent them from happening, at least do a small bit to prevent them from happening. The next recommendation this morning, and I can see, or maybe I should just say a quick round of hellos. Okay, I'll make one more recommendation and say hellos to so many of our guests who've signed up this morning. Is a charming book from Jyotsna Prakashan called The First Rain. I know many of you who've bought books from Funky Rainbow have always appreciated, the books that Jyotsna Prakashan, that we curate, from Jyotsna Prakashan and put into our collection. They are, indeed not so well known, but deserve to be, and deserve to go into so many homes, really, because they're priced so well and they have such wonderful themes that Indian children can connect with very well. And this one, The First Rain, written and illustrated by Priyal Mote, is a beautiful book about a little elephant called Sita, who is in the jungle which is parched, dried up, and no sense of life there because there hasn't been rain in a long time. But Sita, the elephant, what of her? She is waiting eagerly. And of course, in the parched jungle, the animals are watching the dry jungle silently. The lake had dried up. There wasn't a single drop of water left, and animals had nothing but dried leaves to eat. But Sita, the elephant, the young elephant, was joyous. Why was she joyous? Well, she was joyous because, and like she tells her friend the woodpecker, that Ma has told her it's going to rain soon. And Ma has told her that the rains are quite dramatic and come with a spectacle of clouds rumbling, lightning flashing, and trees swaying and dancing. This is Sita's first rain. She's a young baby elephant, and she's never experienced, the rain or a thunder, lightning, or a rainstorm in any way. And she's waiting, and she's thinking and imagining of all those things. And then, she goes up to one spot in the jungle where her mother says, "You get the most spectacular view of the rain." What happens? Does the rain come? Does Sita's desire to see her first rain get fulfilled? You really have to read this charming picture book to find out what the answer to that question is. Like I said, this one published by Jyotsna Prakashan, whose books are so reasonably priced. This one priced at 80 rupees. I can see Sunila Kulkarni Gupte saying, "Hello, Team Funky Rainbow. Happy rainy times to you. Rainbows and sunshine always." Yes, we were talking all about singing in the rain, dancing in the rain, and of course, enjoying the rainbow that comes right after. Damien Ward saying, "The first rain looks absolutely fantastic." It indeed is, Damien, and you should consider picking the book up, especially if you'd like to read it to a young child. We would recommend for 5, 6+ year olds, definitely published by Jyotsna Prakashan. Let me just take a pause and say hello to so many friends who've joined us and then continue with my recommendations. Our guest for the day is going to join us a little later at 12:30 today. So I will try and finish up all my recommendations by then, and let our wonderful author and storyteller for the day join us to make our Saturday even more rainy. A very good morning and hello to Little Stars Books, Pooja Ailwadi, Muttama Devaya, Tilaka Raju, Damien Ward, Janvi Ashar. I can't see, but you have to move it this side. Sneham, Making Magic Happen, Navya, Vijay Lakshmi Nagaraj. Done. Vijay Lakshmi Nagaraj, Goya Tales, Swati Canographer, Jane D'Souza. How lovely. Thank you for joining us all the way from Singapore. My lovely, lovely nephew, Rohan Subramanian. So delighted that you've joined us on Instagram for a monsoon bazaar. I know you're always, always going to love the great Indian monsoon, even if you're not going to be here for the next couple of years. So delighted that you have joined us at this bazaar. Rupa Baliga, lovely supporter and a great reviewer of the books that, she takes from Funky Rainbow. Thank you so much for promoting, our books every single time and making them reach larger audiences than we reach out to. Debbie Abhi, Arzu Riki, Prerna Agarwal, Jaya Meenakshi, Tickling Tailbone, Nia, Anju Tori, Rimi, Bhavna Kittur. I know Bhavna Kittur, you called us some days ago saying, "Hey, we're missing your bazaars." So we're back again with the bazaars. Thank you so much for joining us. And Sunila Kulkarni Gupta, thank you so much for being here at our Monsoon Bazaar. I will continue with a clutch of more recommendations, for you today. All rainy days books and all up on our website, www.funkyrainbow.com, and click on the tab that says Book Bazaar. The drop down menu, the first thing on the drop down menu will be Monsoon. Do click on that and pick up the books from us if they interest you and you'd like to read them with your child. It's been a tough year, at Funky Rainbow, simply because the traveling bookshop has had its wheels completely locked down. I mean, schools have not been working, they've all gone online. Pop-up events across the city and across the country not really happening. Yet, we've come up with these imaginative ways of reaching books to people here, there, everywhere. And it has been thanks to the fantastic support that we get from all of you viewers who are watching us every single Saturday. I can see Sushweta Saha saying, "Good morning, Vidya and Team Funky Rainbow. So excited to be here where it's raining books. Love getting soaked in it." How very wonderful to hear from you, Sushweta. It's such a pleasure because you are one of those librarians who has absolutely taken these Indian children's books into your school. And we can't, all of us at Team Funky Rainbow can't thank you enough to, because we know that when one book goes into a school, there are so many children who access it. And really, we thank you very much for that wonderful support of reaching our books to more and more and more children. We hope that it's always raining books everywhere, all the time in the world. Funky Rainbow, happy to be that that cloud which showers books here, there, and everywhere. I'll continue. Sorry.
I don't have rain, but I'll give you snow.
Sorry.
I don't have rain, but I'll give you snow.
Okay. Sham saying that, well, he can't find some rain graphics for what I just said. So he's giving us snow instead. So, well, let it rain books anywhere, let it snow books anywhere. We're ready as long as our books go here, there, everywhere. I'm going to continue with my recommendations. I know some of you may have joined us a little late. There are lots of lovely books that have already been recommended. Do go to our website, www.funkyrainbow.com. Click on the tab that says Book Bazaar. The first tab is Monsoon, and click on those to look at several books that that we've recommended on rain, clouds, umbrellas, and generally the beautiful monsoon in India. And of course, Muttama saying some of our books could well be hailstones that rain down on people. Sure, yes, why not? Our next set of books is a monsoon pack that we have curated from Pratham. And we have really limited supplies of these books, ladies and gentlemen. Do remember that no books have been coming into us since the 20th of April. I know it's almost, 2 months, because publishers and distributors everywhere have been locked down. They're all just unlocking at the moment. And we're hoping that, once things settle and their go downs are all sanitized, it's probably going to be the end of this month by when we receive more and more books. We do have limited copies of many of these books that we're recommending, and I know the Pratham packs just fly off our shelves. We do just have limited packs here, but still no harm in recommending these wonderful books. So our Pratham pack has this little charming, lovely book called An Umbrella for Dhruvi. What about Dhruvi? Dhruvi needs this one written by the lovely writer Shabnam Minwala, who's done many books for middle readers and young adults, writing a book for a younger audience about Dhruvi, the dragonfly. Now it's starting to rain, and Dhruvi needs to protect her wings from the rain. Now, do you think you want to go on an adventure as she looks and searches for the perfect leaf umbrella? Wow, what a lovely, lovely idea to explore in a simple picture book for children. Like I said, this one written by Shabnam Minwala and illustrated by Malvika Tewari, about finding the right umbrella for Dhruvi. You can't buy this book singly, off our site. It's in the Pratham Monsoon pack. So this is the first book in the Monsoon pack. The second one too, a lovely, adventure that some children get up to by catching a ride on raindrops. It's written by Anjali Vaidya and illustrated by Shayan Mukherjee. A lovely adventure story about children who are enjoying the rain. And I think this could well be some adults as well who are enjoying the rain by splashing in puddles and getting wet in the rain. Now, what happens? Now you see the rain hits the ground and the earthworms all come out, and the children want to embark on an adventure. Now they want to find out, where does, what happens if you went for a ride up in the sky on raindrops. And in a sense, understanding the lovely water cycle. What a lovely way, by way of fiction, to teach children about, not even teach really in that school sense of the word, but to get them to understand how natural processes work so wonderfully till we tamper with them. So catch a ride on raindrops, with children traveling right up to the skies, and you can find out where that adventure takes them. There is, of course, another favorite in this pack called the Sun Shower Song. And it is all about that lovely feeling, especially, that Sunila mentioned earlier, sun and rain at the same time. So this one's all about the sun which shines on a rainy day. That's when all the forests, all the animals in the forest know what's going to happen. And I know many of us have grown up with so many stories about, it raining on a sunny day, and in this too, they know that there's, going to be music and magic at the Jackal's wedding. There's the Jackal's wedding. The Jackals are getting married in the jungle, and, there's sun and rain at the same time. So each of the wedding guests bringing, bringing different kinds of sounds, each of them bringing rhythm and rhyme and lyrics and tune to the wedding ceremony. And you can see this wonderful, it's a popular legend, the sun shower legend. And you can read a new legend about the sun rains on a sunny day. I can see somebody says, please mention the age group. We have been doing it for all the books, so far, Parul Mathur. This entire Pratham pack, we would recommend it for 6+ year olds. The thing is, right now you can pick up the Pratham pack only as a pack from Funky Rainbow, and there are 4 books in it. We would say that the 2 red books that we recommended, An Umbrella for Dhruvi and Catch a Ride on Raindrops, 6+, and maybe the 2 other books, Sun Shower Song and P.S. What's Up with the Climate, a lovely, lovely book, the 4th and final book in the Pratham pack about climate change. And this one is a book that really makes us sit up and take notice of the way climate is changing all around us. Written by that great climate champion, writer and editor, Bijal Vachrajani. I mean, we have featured it in this, collection. And these are written as little letters written by animals. Like the first one has a penguin writing a letter saying, well, it's just way too cold. So it's too hot in some places, it's too cold in some places, there's no rain in some places, there's too much rain in some places, there's less snow in one place, and there's like too much pollution somewhere else. What happens? So these animals writing letters, what a powerful way to tell the story of climate change. And I want to show you that very rainy spread where an ant writes about it raining cats and dogs. And this is not the kind of fun raining cats and dogs. It's really about what we're doing and why the climate is changing, and that we just have one earth, so every one of us needs to do our bit to ensure that climate change doesn't take place. So these 4 books, we would say 6+ for the red books, we'd say 7+, for the green books. But, y'all are teachers and parents and librarians, so your reading audience is better. So this set of 4 books available as the Pratham Monsoon Pack. because each one of them featuring rain in different ways. I can see Muttama saying that the fox gets married. That's right. In Indian culture, we have the story of the nari or the fox getting married when the sun shines and when it rains together. That's absolutely right. That's a similar sun shower kind of legend with jackals in this story. Our next recommendation this morning is a lovely, lovely book from Katha called The Gift of Gold. Again, it's something that we'd recommend for, 6, 7+ year olds, perhaps 7+ year olds, because it has a little bit more text, as you can see. And this lovely story comes to us all the way from Africa. It's written by Dorothy Cowan and art by Gillian Matthew. It's about a little girl called Thandi, or that's how I seem to want to say her name, Thandi. Maybe it's pronounced very differently. Thandi in
Yeah, yeah.
Tandi, says Sham, who lives in a small village in Africa. Her village is dry, it's all wrinkly, it's all dusty because there's been no rain there. And you know what? The elders in the village believe that it has been cursed and that only a chameleon, and you can see the chameleon on the cover, so beautifully illustrated, only a chameleon can bring them rain. What does Thandi do? What does she do? Can she help her village? Is she able to save the village from drought and bring the rains? And is that folklore? I mean, is it true that only a chameleon can bring rain to the village? And in a typical African folktale fashion, there is a curse, there is a gold pebble, there are tons of intriguing characters, and fortunately, there is a happy ending to this story. This one, published by Katha, is priced at 195 rupees. Anuba Bakchi, yes, it's up on our, you say, price of the Pratham pack. Please do check our website, www.funkyrainbow.com. I can see the Charms put up the monsoon pack price as well. But all the books that we're recommending and the packs that we're recommending up on the site, you need to click the tab that says Book Bazaar.
Links are there.
And the links are right up in the chats as we are recommending books. You need to click the tab, Book Bazaar. The first, drop down is Monsoon. Many books that we are not recommending also up there, but limited stocks of all these books. And we just hope they are going to rain on your houses, schools, and libraries very, very quickly. Our next recommendation, of course, so this one, like I said, we'd recommend it for 6, 7+ year olds, priced at 195 rupees and published by Katha. The next, recommendation again is a lovely book from Miss Moochie Publishers called The Magic Umbrellas. And like I said, we've got a mix of books. Not all are rainy books, but many things associated with the rains. Maybe clouds, maybe, umbrellas, maybe muddy puddles, just a whole bunch of things that are connected to the rain. The Magic Umbrella, which we'd recommend also, again, you can see it's a sort of chapter bookish format, but not really a chapter book, per se. We'd say 6, 7 years up again, is all about a young girl called Leela. This book, written by Tirtha Raj and illustrated by Nancy Raj, is all about a little girl called Leela whose mother buys her a new umbrella for school. She's getting ready to go to school, and her mother buys her a new umbrella to take to school. At lunchtime, though, the umbrella absolutely goes missing. Nobody has taken it. No, none of her friends have taken it. Nobody has seen or heard anything at all, except for one gentle whoosh. What is that gentle whoosh all about? Where has the umbrella gone? And can Leela really find her new umbrella? It's such a fun filled story, and Nancy Raj's lovely watercolor illustrations absolutely bringing the story alive, bringing this, adventure in small town India alive. And you can see the lovely umbrellas that Nancy Raj has actually drawn. This one published by Miss Mochi Books, priced at 150 rupees. We'd say recommended for 5 to 7 year olds, perhaps, or 6 and 7, depending on the reading levels, of your children. We then get on to a clutch of books for slightly older kids, and I'm going to show them up to you now. We come on to chapter books, and we love this book, which is has been published many years ago by and written by author Paro Anand, about the little bird who held the sky up with his feet. Such a lovely chapter book written by Paro Anand and illustrated by Ajanta Guha Thakurta. And I know a lot of people know, the other books that Paro has done, but this modern fable is really a charming one, because it is, it is set in a forest, and, the forest tends to stand still every year when black clouds begin to roll in. Every year, the monsoon army, that's what Paru Anand's called it, the monsoon army's rain comes down harder and harder, destroying trees, destroying plants, destroying the nests, destroying the burrows. And the rain brings with it gushing floods, rivers that surge here and there, ponds that sort of grow into rivers, wreaking havoc all over all through the forest. This year, the animals believe that again the monsoon army is not going to spare anything and going to wash everything away. But there is an unlikely hero among them, which is this little sparrow, who decides to do something. And I think the cover of the book, or the title of the story, The Little Bird Who Held the Sky Up with His Feet, should give you a clue about what this little bird does to help protect the forest. Is he able to protect the forest? You have to read this story of extraordinary courage, really told by one of India's finest writers for children, Paro Anand. And like I said, a wonderful chapter book. Really, you can see, large illustrations and text. We would recommend this for, 8, 9+ year olds, to read. A lovely story about the rains and about a little bird who decides to hold the sky up with his feet. This one is published by Red Turtle, priced at 195 rupees. Again, all these books up on our site, so please do, if they interest you, please do consider picking them up from Funky Rainbow. And you can use the discount voucher that you will see right on top of our website, but that's valid only when you order books off the website. Please apply that discount coupon when you're checking out to avail the 10% discount on books presently. So that, with that chapter book, we move on to another chapter book which we love at Funky Rainbow, especially because of the lovely illustrations. This one is called The Grand Story of Ikli Chokli, which is the story of some lovely doggies, Ikli and Chokli, a little Chokli. Chokli is like a little puppy, and the story of Chokli called Ikli. Now, Rajiv Aipus illustrated the book, and it's written by Vinayan Bhaskaran. Excuse me. Rajiv Aipus illustrated the book, doing such a fabulous job of illustrating these choklis. They have so much characters. They have so much character that you want to go back to reading the book over and over and over again. So this one, Ikli, a stray puppy who wanders into a muddy, rainy puddle one day, loves to splash around it and loves the icky, sticky, scratchy feeling. From then on, after he splashes into his first puddle, and I'm going to show you some more lovely pictures that Rajiv has made just in black and white, adding so much characters to the choklis that we see and meet in this book. From that day on, Italy can't stop himself from getting messy and enjoying, rolling around, splashing in puddles, and scratching himself sumptuously. And what is wonderful is that, as he jumps into more and more and more puddles, he starts to tell wonderful stories growing up. And you see him, like, from a little puppy to growing up to a bigger puppy, who's telling tall tales, mostly about himself. Such happy, whimsical illustrations that bring so much cheer. And you can see, Ikli, when he's not so little, telling a lovely tall tale. It's really a book that celebrates, smart and spunky choklis, smart and spunky doggies everywhere. I can see Mutama saying, I love this book. We did a fundraiser for pug marks with the book. Yes, when the book came out, we did a fundraiser for an organization called Pug Marks that helps strays, that does a lot of work to to help people look after their pets and adopt strays. Basically, we did a fundraiser, and the money that was raised went to, streetwise, to feed different choklis running around in different streets. I can see Shubh SK saying, I love Ikli Chokli. Indeed, what a wonderful book it is. We'd recommend this one for 7+-year-olds, priced at 165 rupees. And from these little choklis, and this one written by Vinay and Bhaskaran, who's himself, written some wonderful poems and stories and articles in various journals. And he has, water is definitely something that is an area of interest for Vinay and Bhaskaran, because he has another book called Beyond the Blue River, which is meant for older readers, which was shortlisted for the Crossword Book Award for children's writing in 2011. In this one, he has choklis splashing, Ikli chokli especially, splashing into muddy puddles. Our next recommendation this morning is, again, a wonderful book that comes to us all the way from the Northeast, called Walk the Rainforest with Nivupa, written by Aparajita Datta and Nima Manjrekar, and whose art is by that incredibly talented artist Maya Ramaswamy. Such a beautiful, you'll end up taking an extraordinary trip to a very, very special place where you can see the sights and hear the sounds and smell different scents, and meet different creatures who are perhaps not like the ones that you've imagined, because Nivupa, the hornbill, takes you on a tour of his rainforest home. And I'm going to show you, of his of the rainforest, which is his home. You find out a lot about Nivupa, but about all the other creatures that share the rainforest with Nivupa. The authors, Aparajita Datta and Nima Manjrekar, are wildlife specialists. So you can imagine how much wonderful detail Walk the Rainforest is full of. It has a pair book, called Walk the Grasslands with Takuri. We have both of them in stock. Do we have Takuri in stock, Bharti? Oh, okay. All right. My colleague Bharti is saying that Takuri, I'm afraid, is not in stock. But thank God for rainy day celebrations where you can walk this wonderful rainforest, with our lovely friend Nivupa, the hornbill. It's a lovely book for adult and child alike. We'd recommend it definitely for 8+-year-olds, because of how much detail it has on the rainforests. How much time do we have? Okay, so I can do a clutch of quick recommendations, perhaps show you some of our new arrivals, and then bring on the guest of the day to entertain us with talk to us about some of the rainiest places in India. So before that, I'll run through a couple of more books This one, the next one too, which we'd recommend for 10 plus year olds, Let's Save the Rain, a book on rainwater harvesting by Neha. This is a book of non-fiction, and it is definitely meant for older readers. We definitely say 9, 10 plus, about rainwater being the purest form of water and on earth, and how water is completely cyclical, talking about the water cycle as well, and telling us why we must do our bit to save and harvest rainwater. And I know, in one of the earlier books that we recommended, Let's Save the Rain, the same theme of rainwater being precious, and catching it in different ways for younger readers. This one definitely meant for older readers. And because this is a book for older readers, it talks about traditional methods of rainwater harvesting, newer methods of rainwater harvesting, asking kids to do simple experiments to see how rainwater seeps into the ground, showing you some practices, some conservation techniques that people use to harvest rainwater. But of course, starting with why we need to harvest rainwater, because there is the problem of water scarcity, and what we can do, what technology can do to help us resolve the problem of water scarcity. This one is published by Terry and priced at 150 rupees. We would recommend it for 9, 10 plus year olds. Our next book in the collection, I'm just looking at what that one is. Okay, is this lovely book called a cloud called Bhura. This one meant for older readers. We'd recommend it for 10 plus year olds, certainly. Written by, again, like I said, Bijal Vajrajani, who had a wonderful picture book in the Pratham pack on climate change. This one, a funky adventure on climate change. And who is the protagonist of this adventure? Well, it's a huge brown cloud who appears suddenly in the sky. And four friends, Mithil, Tammy, and Andrew, who try to save the city from this angry cloud. And you know what the cloud is called? Bhura Cloudus. As the media starts to call this angry brown cloud that looms large over Mumbai, making containing within it poisonous gases, causing scalding hot rain to fall on the ground, making birds flee, destroying the greenery and the plant cover of the city, and suffocating all the people who live in this city. There is Bijal Vajrajani weaving a fantastic adventure. So there's a powerful politician, and what do the protagonists of the book do? Can Bhura ever be driven away, or is it very, very late? And the book has a fantastic tagline saying, climate champions to the rescue. So you know what it is all about. And you can see, we would, like I said, we recommend this for 9, 10 plus year olds. It's a fantastic story. It's a fantastic, inspiring, funny, thought-provoking story about the changing global climate and the havoc it can cause in our world. But it's also a lovely adventure where friendship rises above all the problems that Bhura Cloudus heaps upon the city of Mumbai. This one published by Speaking Tiger, and I can see Muttama saying rave reviews for this one. And I know Bijal's won several awards for this book. So it's something that your children will certainly enjoy reading, a rollicking adventure while understanding what climate change is all about and what we can do to, to ensure that our climate is not degraded steadily the way it has been across the last couple of decades. This one published by Talking Cub, priced at 399 rupees. Our next book, Bharti, do we have a couple of people to say hello to? Okay, a few people. Okay, so I will make one or two more recommendations, and then say hello to our guests, and maybe show you some of our new arrivals as well. I know we have just another 10 minutes before our guest has to come online. But our next, book, The Little Rainmaker, again, a book for 10 plus year olds. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Did I get that order wrong? Okay, sorry. Shams put up The Cloudfarers by Stephen Alter, which is again a wonderful book for 10 plus year olds. Stephen Alter, who's lives in Dehradun and has written so many wonderful books about the Himalayas, weaving a fantasy adventure of a boy who goes to a school called Paramount Academy, which is nothing short of a prison. Now he has to keep the young boy, the young protagonist of this book, he has to come to terms with this awful military style school that he has gone to, and he tries to make friends to see what they can do to combat this sort of very very dictatorial type of school that he has joined. And you know what, he makes friends with a set of young people who are called the Cloudfarers. I mean, they are just friends, and they he discovers in the process of getting to know them that they're actually a tribe of lost beings called the Cloudfarers, who've come from another planet and who've been exiled to Earth. They need to get back to their own land. And despite the really dictatorial principal, Captain Lovelock, who seems to have guessed that something is amiss, what does Skip do? Can he help the Cloudfarers get back to their own land? And this is an adventure that really takes you on top of clouds, riding on clouds. Stephen Alter has his beautiful writing, and the writing that simply transports you into the world of the clouds and the world of the Cloudfarers. I know this book was on the short list of the Hindu Young World Good Books Awards, and we'd recommend this one for 10 plus year olds because it's a fabulous fantasy adventure on cloud tops. This one priced at 199 rupees, meant for 10 plus year olds. Our next book, which is probably the last one that I'll recommend before I show you some of our new arrivals. Yeah. Sorry, Parul Mathur. Yes, of course. You could check our website. We do have copies of Ahimsa, and it's easy to just log into www.funkyrainbow.com and check if we have copies of the book Ahimsa. I do think we have a copy or two of it. The next recommendation, Sham, can you just put up the picture, because I don't know what I can see. Navya saying, so cool indeed. Cloudfarers is so very cool. The next book that I wanted to recommend, and I'm going to see, I'm not sure which book is coming up. Okay, is this lovely one called The Little Rainmaker by Rupal Rashomani Kevalia. And it's a wonderful story about rain. Again, it's about it, the book is it's a fantasy adventure, and it's set in 2027. And it's been 10 years. I mean, I know we are in 2021, but it's been 10 years since it has rained anywhere in the world. And 10-year-old Anushka has never, ever seen the rain. All she has done is hear stories of her grandfather telling her about rainbows, about thunder, about lightning. And one fine day, her life just turns upside down because her grandfather falls terribly ill, and he has one wish. He wants to see the rain. What does Anushka do? Again, a wonderful fantasy adventure where Anushka sets off on an adventure to fulfill her grandfather's dream. It's a story, I mean, of course, of the rains, and of course, of why the rains are not there and why the world is bereft of rain for 10 whole years. But it's also a story of a little girl's fierce determination to make her grandfather's dream, her grandfather's wish come true, while making young readers aware of the acute environmental crisis that we face in the world today. So that is The Little Rainmaker. for you, we'd recommend it for 10 plus year olds. Again, a fantastic read, about, I mean, a fantasy filled read for readers 10 plus year olds. And I know often we are asked, why we do recommend books for young adults, and we do have a lot of books for young adults, but usually it kind of comes at the fag end of the show. But we do have in our collection books for children, right from newborns up to 18-year-olds. And you always need to just check the tab, the Bazaar tab, and there are probably 3 or 4 pages of books in the monsoon collection meant for different age groups. Sham, I'm just going to skip one book and go to the next one. My last recommendation, which I think it would be a shame to go off without recommending, Making a Mango Whistle. We'd recommend it for 12 plus year olds, maybe 13 plus year olds. We'd also recommend it for all adults. This is the lovely Bengali classic by Bibhuti Bhushan Bandyopadhyay, and this one having an excellent introduction by Sharmila Tagore. It's been translated by Rimli Bhattacharya, the very well-known translator Rimli Bhattacharya. And what is this about? And you'll know the minute you start reading it. It's set in the little village of Nishchindipur, where a brother and sister grow up, their days filled with discoveries and the world around them filled with beautiful things. And you know who that brother and sister pair are. At least, one of them is Appu, the Appu of Satyajit Ray's Pather Panchali trilogy. And this is the book that form the basis of those wonderful, of the wonderful trilogy that Satyajit Ray made. So this one, about children, 2 young children playing in the countryside, frolicking around in the countryside. And why have we put it into the rainy bazaar? Because the book, I think, has a spectacular opening on a very, very rainy day, a monsoon-filled times in Nishchindipur. Making the Mango Whistle was first published in 1944, and then immortalized as Song of the Road or Pather Panchali by Satyajit Ray. And what I really particularly love is the excellent introduction that Sharmila Tagore, has done of growing up with cousins, with friends, with family, like Appu and Durga on these. Appu and Durga in this story, she talks about growing up with family, friends, cousins, and enjoying the rains with stories. And that's why Making the Mango Whistle in the monsoon collection. This one published by Penguin, priced at 225 rupees. I can see Muttama saying, Editor Amma, I can see a new edition in our shelves. Fancy bunting, you bet. We've got to see this lovely bunting behind us, which has funky rainbow embroidered, or it's like a patchwork bunting gifted to us by none other than a wonderful, friend, reader, librarian, and book champion, Joanne Saldana, who is from Madras and a huge supporter of Funky Rainbow. So thank you to Joanne Saldana for this lovely bunting that you can see behind us. So no confetti, no rain, but we have snow to show you that we are sending a big thanks out to Joanne Saldana for this lovely gift. I'm quickly going to say hello to a bunch of more people who joined us. Sushweta Saha, Pav, Parul Mathur, UT Dalal, Anubha Bagchi, Kavita Mandana, such a pleasure to see you. Aarti Mamta, what fun that you guys are here. Shubh SK, Shailaja Menon, dear friend of Funky Rainbow, Drawchi Draws, Ride Home. Oh, how lovely, Megha Gupta, that you've joined us with you have a lovely book on the environment. We don't have it in stock at the moment, but hopefully it'll come back as soon as Penguin ships it to us. Nidhi Singh, Neil Jarial, Neha, Kahani Tree. How lovely you're here, Sangeeta. Such a pleasure to see an independent bookstore from Bombay joining us at the Book Bazaar. I tell you, independent booksellers, can rain books here, there, everywhere, always. And it's such an honor that you're here with us, Sangeeta. Priyanka Talreja, so lovely that you've joined us at the bazaar. I can see I can see Ramendra Kumar saying, "Hi, Vidya. What a pleasure you've joined us, Ramendra Kumar. Your book Boond in our monsoon collection as well. But we just have a single copy of it because no books have been coming to us from NBT. But we're so glad that you've joined us. And I can see that you're saying that A Cloud Called Bhura is an amazing book. It indeed is. So is Ramendra Kumar's lovely picture book called Boond. One last copy left at Funky Rainbow in our monsoon collective. Of course, I'll quickly, run past a couple of new arrivals. We don't have all, we have all of these books, but we haven't read them. And we're so delighted because one small box of books reached us just 2 days ago. So we actually have some new arrivals to share with you, but I'm not sure. I'm so glad that one small box made its way into Funky Rainbow's office, waiting for a lot more boxes to come to us. I'll quickly run past it before I introduce our guest for the day. This one, a lovely picture book called Leopard in Mumbai. Look at the size of this fantastic book written by Lubena Bandukwala, great champion of children's writers and a wonderful organizer of, fantastic children's literary festivals. This one about a leopard who makes his way to Mumbai and, written by Lubena and illustrated by Alan Shaw. This one published by Karadi Tales, delightfully humorous. We've got to read it, and I'm sure we'll put it into one of our bazaars. Published by Karadi, priced at 399 rupees. Sham, you're going to put up the pictures of the new arrivals?
Yeah.
Our next book in the new arrivals segment, again from Karadi, called The Magic in My Fingers by Nandita Dakuna, Nayantara Surendranath, and Kanimori A. It is, I'm not sure what the book is all about at the moment, but we certainly know it's a lyrical, melodious book. And this is what the new arrivals are, the ones that we are going to absolutely read across the weekend. We love Nandita Dakuna's books, and we know we have The Miracle on Sundar Bagh Street, as well as Just Like Papa. This one, a new one, from her, and illustrated by Nayantara Surendranath, who's done some lovely illustrations for A Pair of Twins by Karadi Tales as well. This one, I'm assuming, a lyrical picture book published by Karadi, priced at 250 rupees. Another wonderful book in our collection, making Sita's Chitwan by Vaishali Shroff, again came in just 2 days ago. And I know there's a beautiful book that Vaishali has done on the rain called Raindrops. It is in our bazaar collection, but we were not able to recommend it today because we have no copies, and we suspect that the publisher too is out of copies. But otherwise, Raindrops, a lovely book about seeing the rain from your windows, seeing the raindrops make such beautiful patterns on your windowsill, on one rainy day. But this one, Vaishali Shroff's brand new book, Sita's Chitwan, which is aptly subtitled "Not Just a Walk in Nepal's First National Park." The book, illustrated by Kalp Sangvi, has some fantastic recommendations saying, it's talking about Nepal's first protected national park, which is a home to over 550 species of birds, the Chitwan National Park. Definitely looking forward to reading this one this weekend. Meant for 7+-year-olds, published by Penguin, and priced at 299 rupees. Our next one on the shelves, and it's a favorite series at Funky Rainbow, the fantastic Ninja Nani series. And this is the fourth book in the Ninja Nani series, Lavanya Karthik's hilarious adventures of a young boy and his nani who has ninja superpowers. I'm absolutely, this is the first one that I'm going to read this weekend, simply because Lavanya Karthik's fabulous illustrative style. So the book has, is a mix of comics, text, wonderful illustrations, a new Ninja Nani mystery that I think, I'm going to enjoy thoroughly. I have seen some wonderful promotions she's done online around the book, and looking forward to reading Ninja Nani and the Freaky Food Festival first thing after the bazaar is done. Published by Duckbill, priced at 225 rupees. I can see Asha Nehemiah saying all new books look so fantastic. Indeed, they are. And you are saying Ninja Nani is my all-time favorite. I think you may have read Freaky Food Festival already. This is my read for the weekend. Terrific book. And I can see Tamanna saying we have a ninja ammachi. She sneaks up on you and gives you heart attacks. More power to ninja nanis and ninja ammachis, Tamanna. We all deserve those heart attacks. And this one, a freaky, absolutely delightful ninja nani, much like yours. The final recommendations, and we recommend this for young adults, by that marvelously talented writer Venita Coelho, Dark Tales, Ghost Stories from India. I've already started reading this one, and by God, it's got the really, scary, spooky stories, picked out of everyday, of everyday things that have happened in India, many ghastly incidents, that have taken place, many different things that have happened in the country across the last couple of years, like the Nithari killings, the Nirbhaya case, and Venita. And I've only read 2 stories in the collection this far, but they are indeed dark tales of terror, which is why I'd say this is not a book that you may want to read in the dark. Muttama, this one for you, definitely to be read in the dark. Venita Coelho, fantastic screenwriter, fantastic writer for children's books, having won multiple awards for her books, the Animal Intelligence Agency series, and All of Me, with with a ghostly collection of dark tales. The second one that's going to keep me occupied this weekend, priced at 250 rupees, published by Penguin. And with that, we will just get on to saying hello to our wonderful guest for the day. Sham, is Vijay here? Okay, so Sham says Vijay Lakshmi Nagraj is here. I can see Ramendra Kumar saying that the book trailer for Dark Tales was incredible. You bet, really spooky one. That trailer was for sure. We'd recommend this book perhaps for 15 plus year olds, even 16 plus year olds, I'd say. Definitely. So we're going to say hello to our guest for the day, who's just been a friend forever to Funky Rainbow, author and storyteller Vijay Lakshmi Nagaraj, who's been with us right through the year on every bazaar, watching us, cheering us from the sidelines. And absolutely, if there's one person that we'd credit for helping take Funky Rainbow's books here, there, everywhere, it's certainly got to be author, storyteller Vijay Lakshmi Nagaraj. Has she come on, Sham? Vijay Lakshmi.
Hi, Vidya, and thank you.
Right here at our bazaar. One second, I'm not able to hear you clearly, but that's probably just my speaker. I'm just going to try and set it right. Hang on a second, Vijay. Can you just say hello, Vijay?
Hello.
Ah, yes, you're bright and clear. I can see so many people, doing a drum roll for you and welcoming you, Vijay. I have to say, give a short introduction. Like I said, the best introduction that we can give is to say forever friend of Funky Rainbows, and who has literally in every way helped take our books to different parts of the country through her wonderful initiatives and efforts, Vijay Lakshmi Nagaraj, who's an educational consultant and author and a fantastic storyteller. She believes that storytelling is excellent therapy and has used it to help children in conflict areas, to help cancer patients, as well as tsunami orphans. We know Vijay Lakshmi literally traveled to the tsunami affected areas down south to help rehabilitate the children through the power of storytelling. She's authored some wonderful books for children and written so many articles on Indian children's literature, continues to. And I know recently, she was even asking us for, she's writing an article on Tamil books, Tamil picture books for children. So Vijay Lakshmi doing so much to promote Indian children's books. Her own books, Jilmil, Sun Magic. I only remember it as Jilmil Viji, the Jilmil synonymous with Sun Magic. Her own wonderful books. She's going to talk about Sun Magic. There's the natural wonders of India and Chip, Chirp, Hoot, the sounds of nature and other stories. And, that's precisely, besides being a friend forever, the reason that we have Viji here is one person who really exudes a love of nature has got to be Viji, who weaves nature into her stories in every way. And having grown up and lived in the Northeast even much later for a large part of her life, we think this, that experience of living in the rainiest places of the country, rainiest places in India, amongst the rainiest places in India, we felt that there could be no better storyteller for this season and for this bazaar than Vijay Lakshmi Nagraj. So a big, big, big shout out going to you, Vijay.
Thank you, Vidya. Thank you so much for that very, very warm welcome on a monsoon magic bazaar, which is so beautiful. And thank you so much. Really, I'm touched.
I can see so many people saying hello to you. Tamanna saying hello, Viji auntie. You're looking gorgeous and how lovely to see you after ages. A big hug going out to you. Ramendra Kumar saying hi, Vijay Lakshmi ji. Great to see you. And he says you have a super high EQ or empathy quotient. So well said indeed. And I have to say, if we are able, if we have taken ourselves and our books and to the northeast of India, not so many moons ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, when the world was still normal, it's all thanks to Vijay Lakshmi Nagraj, who set up this wonderful trip to the northeast, taking us to different schools, taking our books into different schools, and also for the entire team at Funky Rainbow, our first glimpse of the Kaziranga National Park was thanks to none other than Vijay Lakshmi, of course.
Those beautiful days.
It
Absolutely.
was. It indeed was, Vijay. So I'm just going to ask you a clutch of questions, 2-3 quick questions before we get into your story. First, just tell us about what it was like to grow up in the Northeast. I mean, you spent so many years there growing up. You also went back subsequently, when you were older. And we think that your love for nature comes from that beautiful part of India. So tell us a bit about it.
Absolutely, Vidya. As one would say, I am so deep rooted in Shillong and the Northeast, where I grew up. And growing up in Shillong, if anyone thinks about the Northeast, they think it's so far away. Yes, today, but you can reach in one day when you fly down. But when we lived there, it used to take us 10 days to reach there um, because there was no bridge. We had to use the ferry and the meter gauge and the broad gauge and so on. And Shillong was where my father lived for over 26 years.
Mhm.
So growing up in a place which was just pure beauty and the hills, and all I can remember is that it was just walking, going to school, just playing because there was nothing much, playing and reading, of course. And all over the place, we used to walk without batting an eyelid. And it's all hills. We used to literally, there was a small, hillock up, just behind our house, which would take us to school. And it was called Jacob's Ladder, literally like a Jacob's Ladder. Yet we would do that Jacob's Ladder in 5 minutes flat, go up and come down. So Shillong was like a hill station. It was known as the Scotland of the East. It was so pure and pristine in its natural beauty. The flowers. We had a beautiful garden because my mother had green fingers. So
Ah.
everything we grew came from our garden. So we were connected to nature as children because my mother would ask us to pluck the vegetables, to pick the flowers, to take care of the plants. So it was like we were just, nature was ingrained in us. And both my sisters, younger sisters, and my brother all have green fingers, like my mom. And so growing up was Shillong, the hills were always alive with the sound of music. And um, there was this beautiful brewery called Captain Hunt's Brewery, which had the best cherry wine, of which we were not
Wow.
allowed to drink, and it had the best, not French fries of today, but those solid finger chips of yesteryear, which with a lot of tomato ketchup, and that was like a weekend outing for us, where father used to have the cherry brandy because it was famous, and we used to have those, nice large potato wedges, and it was just such a lot of fun. So every weekend it was going on a picnic, going to the outdoors, and in the outdoors, the community which was together, like we were Tambrams, and there's a small community which would organize these picnics. And in these picnics, they would have games for children. There would be a lemon and spoon race for the mothers, and there would be another game for the fathers, all organized. And everything was done outdoors. So we used to be, all the ladies would cook, and we kids were just involved with, these picnics. Everything was to be taken there, and we would all be pitching in to help. And I'll never forget, even my mom was a great, vibrant person. So the lemon and spoon race in saris, they would run. And, so these were the memories of childhood. And the other thing which was very, very, very famous in Shillong was that one standalone bookshop called Modern Book Depot, which had
Oh.
the best books, Russian books, Enid Blyton's, and many more. So that was one really big landmark of Shillong, which is not there anymore.
Mhm.
And there were no cars, not many cars, and everything was walking. And since it was the northeast of India, we were up very early because the sun rises much, much ahead of the other parts of the country. And by 5 p.m. in the evening, it's like pitch dark, which would be a midnight in Bangalore, you can say. So growing up was pure fun. Schooling, I studied in one school throughout. There was no change of school, Loreto Convent, my alma mater, and I was fortunate that I went in 2009 for celebrating its centenary year,
Wow.
which is not often, which cannot happen often to anyone. And we had the best musical bands in Shillong, the Fentoons, the Blood and Thunder. So, like, music was ingrained in the local of Shillong. You just give them a dalda dabba and they can create music for you.
That's why
So,
you can
music,
as well. You can do that out of any dabba too, Vijay.
so it was that. And the other part of it is we had the best teachers, the nuns. So schooling was a lot of fun. There was absolutely no pressure of you have to do this or you have to do that. We just enjoyed school.
How
It was
lovely.
just enjoy. And there was nobody looking at the marks or stuff like that. So it was just pure fun. And all that my parents said is study well. That's it. Nothing like, oh, you have to be this, or you just study well and enjoy your school.
How
So that was
lovely.
one real big takeaway, when it was just pure delight to be playing outdoors all day. And the only other entertainment for us was books, reading. And listening to music was just on radio. We didn't have any of those, radio. And one old, I think my father had an old gramophone of sorts with some players in it. So growing up in that environment of pure joy, pure fun was amazing. But anyone beyond Kolkata would think that we are living in some jungles, including my Coimbatore cousins, who would think that we're living in a jungle, and they would ask us, are there animals around? Is there civilization? It was literally that. And to some extent, even today, people are not too clued up about the Northeast. They feel it's like, somewhere back of beyond. But I think my mother would always say, na, jungle mein mangal means, I mean, she went absolutely from the south of India to that east of India, northeast, without knowing any language. And she brought up all her four children. We went to the best of schools, ate the best of food. She was a great cook. And in spite of not having anything like you have today, we found that we did not need anything extraordinary to engage ourselves. We did not need any extraordinary games to play. We just played basketball, it was, hide and seek, it was, climbing the tree and playing that monkey tree, it was, and just, you can say, living off the fruits in the garden around us.
How
So
lovely.
growing up, childhood was absolutely just pure fun. And I think a lot of that still holds good for all of us. That, the walking, the playing, the energy we had that time is still holds good. And we always look back at it with a very, with a lot of nostalgia. So that was
Lovely.
just growing up in Shillong.
I can see, so many people. Mona Desai saying, "Hi, Vijay Lakshmi, I'm looking forward." Prerna Agarwal saying, "I'm from Assam in the Northeast, and Shillong, Cherrapunji are beautiful must visit places." Tilaka Raju saying, "Hi, Vijay Lakshmi, ma'am. We're very happy to see you here in Funky Rainbow. We love you so much, and rightfully so, because Tilaka is the founder of the Sneha Shreya schools, and Vijay Lakshmi has done so much storytelling with the children at Sneha Shreya, including sending them a huge bunch of books for a special birthday that just went past, I think, last week, perhaps,
Yeah.
or the week before that, gifting them a whole bunch of books from Funky Rainbow. So, like Ramendra Kumar says, Viji, with her empathy quotient right in place. I can see, I don't know whether this is Muttama or Tamanna saying, "Viji, auntie, I remember how you made us wake up early and rushed us when the clock struck 4 a.m. in the morning." But you
4 p.m.
4 p.m. Well, Tamanna, by 4 p.m., even I had gotten up mostly, right? Vijay, I wanted to ask you before we, I know we have a story to tell, and but just two quick questions. You have been in the midst of some of the rainiest places in India, and that, formerly Cherrapunji and now Mawsynram, actually the rainiest place in the world,
Yes.
because our bazaar is a monsoon themed bazaar. Do you want to quickly tell us a bit about these rainy places?
Yes, the distance between Mawsynram and Cherrapunji is only about 10 kilometers. Earlier, it was Cherrapunji when we were growing up, was one of the rainiest places. And even in Shillong, during the monsoon, 6 months of rain. But it was like it became part of our lives, the rain, day in and day out. But what was beautiful about the places there is the houses were built to take this rain. So we never had leaky roofs or leaky walls or houses collapsing. No. And it was planned in such a way that the rain would go underground and no flooding, no waterlogging. I can never think of any place which was waterlogged or it was, like you had floods, and pristine clean. So if it's pouring and pouring today, maybe next morning there'll be bright sunshine and a rainbow. So we grew up with raincoats and gumboots all the time. We had to walk to school, and we had this fantastic system of a cloakroom. We would hang our raincoats, take off our gumboots, wipe our feet, wear our socks and shoes, and be ready for the assembly in school. And on return, again change into gumboots and the famous duck back brand was
Yes.
absolutely the perfect thing for the rains there. So slowly, slowly, Cherrapunji, then now it's Mausanram, which has almost about 10,000 milliliters of rain per year. And it has overtaken Cherrapunji. But when we were growing up, it was Cherrapunji, which was the rainiest place. But the people local have adapted to this kind of rain. Every house in Shillong and in Cherrapunji or Mausanram, they have verandas. The houses have verandas, tin roofs. We could hear the rain on the battering on the tin roofs. And we had verandas, which was such a practical thing. Because when you entered from the torrential rain, your boots were all gum boots were wet and muddy. It was the veranda where we would dry them, hang our raincoats so that it was ready for the next morning. And Shillong has some amazing umbrellas also, which I picked up later on one of my visits. So rain, people adapted to, and because during the rains, the bridges, if it's a wooden bridge, it gets washed off and it rots. It was the root bridge which was built in many of these places, especially in Mausanram. You get to see these root bridge. They call the living root bridge, which where the roots are woven and they last long. It swings a little, has a little spring, and if you remember when we went to the caves, that root bridge was what we saw also. So the people adapted to that kind of rainy season when we had rainy season, and it would be cold, pretty cold, but nothing stopped. Nothing stopped. I mean, there was no problem that, oh my God, there's flood here, waterlogging there, something has fallen. No. So those were my memories that even when there was so much rain, we just didn't stop. We carried on and the life was good. I mean, there was nothing, no problem. So now it's Mausanram, which is the rainiest place. Yeah, correct.
That's the root bridge picture,
Yes,
Vijay.
yes. So all these natural bridges last long. So the villagers also learned how to manage during the rains. Shillong, we learned how to manage during the rains. Next morning, there would be absolutely no floods, the bright sunshine. And again, by afternoon, it will cloud up and there would be rains. So, and now when you look back, living in a city, rainy season has a different connotation of
That's
preparing before the rains and flooding and so on. So that was what
how lovely,
rains were all
Vijay.
about in Shillong.
So many people saying your sister is watching and she says thank you sister for bringing it all back to
Yeah,
life. Jyoti Meenakshi is saying just like your books, so vibrant. Asha Nehmaya saying so evocative, wish I could head straight to the northeast right now. And Tilaka Raju,
absolutely. We are waiting for things to improve because we still have made a promise to go to Arunachal Pradesh.
Tawang, yes.
Hopefully, we should be able to do it.
With the Funky Rainbow team and the Funky Rainbow books, there is a promise to be at Arunachal Pradesh when the world opens up. And Tilaka Raju saying, your storytelling sessions are so popular with the children at Sneha Shreya, and she thanks you for all the books that you give them month after month. I know, Vijay, we were going to talk about how you've written about Mausan Ram and Cherrapunji in your own books, but perhaps, we can, ask you to tell your story first. I know you have a
Okay,
lovely story lined up for us, and then, quickly show your books because we're pretty much
yeah,
out of time. I
tight.
know people
Okay,
will listen to your story though because
yes,
of how evocative and
yes.
beautiful it is, but over to you for a rainy day story.
Absolutely. I will just tell you one little peep into this Chip Chap Hood. When I wrote
Sure,
this,
sure.
Mausan Ram and Cherrapunji figured in this because that one story was about water. What water means to children in different areas of our country. So it was a very important segment, especially since Mausan Ram had overtaken Cherrapunji as far as being the rainiest place. So I have a story which is set in a place called Mouse My Village, close to Cherrapunji, and this is about a lady called Charlene who had a homestay in Shillong called Orchid Cottage. Now the other beautiful thing is that the northeast of India has some of the most amazing orchids.
Absolutely.
So Charlene and her 10-year-old son Wandok, they were during the season, they used to have a homestay. And guess who went there? Four lovely ladies all the way from Coimbatore who had never visited the Northeast decided to go and stay in Orchid Cottage. So Charlene had organized it well, and since it was a vacation time, Wandok would chip in and help his mother. Now, Wandok was a very shy boy, very, very shy, but he played music beautifully and it came to him naturally. So he would be busy in his room all the time, strumming his guitar and playing on the bongo and creating some absolutely fabulous music. His mother in that little cottage, in Shillong, all the houses are so beautiful, so pretty, with a little veranda, the curtains tailored to perfection with the little frill on top. And there would be definitely a little garden patch with roses, gladiolus, sweet peas. Flowers grow in Shillong and they grow so beautifully. It's just like you throw the seeds and you have flowers. Plum trees, orange trees, peaches. So Charlene's little cottage called Orchid Cottage was beautiful and she was waiting for her guests. The four ladies arrived from all the way from Coimbatore, and Shillong gets a bit nippy, like some of my friends have been there. So Charlene says, tomorrow morning we're going to go to the village near Mouse Mai, where we're going to go and see the orchid area because there's some beautiful orchid areas there. And since her visitors had come from the south, they were very keen to go to the place which is the rainiest because they'd never seen so much rain, to visit this Mouse Mai village, to see the root bridge, because these were things which are not commonly seen elsewhere. So the next day they set off on this trip, and Wandok helped his mother pack the stuff into the car, and they went to Mausmai village. So it took them a couple of hours, about 4 to 5 hours. And once they reached the little homestay that Charlene had there, close to the orchid area, the guests were feeling so happy and so nice because in such a place you could have hot soups, you could eat freshly grown peas. The peas and the carrots and the vegetables there would have its natural sweetness, and you wouldn't need to cook it too much, but it just has a fabulous sweetness. And Northeast is Shillong is also known for its famous chow mein. Not to say noodles, it was called chow mein. So the four ladies and Charlene and her son Wandok, they had a lovely evening, and Wandok always entertained the homestay guests with some music. Then next day morning, his mother told him, "Look, I'm taking them to the orchid area, and I'm going to show them the orchids. You be at home and take care of things this side." And he told his mother, "Yes, I'll do that. You take them and be careful." See, there were no the mobile connectivity sometimes is not very good in those areas because of the hills. Sometimes, you'll be talking on the phone and then suddenly it goes off because there may not be any tower around. So his mother said, "Fine, we are going to go there, and we are starting early, so we'll get back soon, and we should be home before it gets dark because there it gets dark very quickly." So she took her friends and they went to this beautiful orchid area. In the orchid area, the orchids grow naturally on moss and on wood, that is, broken logs of wood, etc. So there are some shaped in the like a woman's sandal slippers. It's called a slipper orchid or a moth orchid, which has a bright golden color. So she was explaining to her guests and telling them about orchids, and they were so fascinated. And they were the other very important factor was that orchids also have some medicinal properties. So it is used a lot in Ayurveda for making some medicine. So all this Charlene was so happily telling her guests, and they were just enjoying themselves in this orchid area, mauve color orchid, white and pink orchid. It's like it's a painted, absolutely that the colors of nature are just painted so vibrantly. And suddenly there was thunder. And there, when you hear thunder, it's like it's just rolling off the hill onto your head. Lightning. And Charlene, because she's lived in the Northeast, looked out and told her friends, "Look, I think we just need to get back fast because once it starts raining, you know, even driving becomes difficult in the Northeast. You cannot see the road. You may have the wipers, you have put on your those lights, but it's impossible. And since Mausmai and Cherrapunji and all are hilly places, the roads sometimes there's a deep gorge. So she said, we must get back before it pours. So they got into her van. It was a Maruti van, and she started driving. And the rain pelted down. Suddenly, they reached a point where the car got stuck. There was some slush, and she just couldn't get the wheels off the slush. She tried very hard. Now, the friends from down south were a bit nervous. One side, you have the deep gorge, the other side, there's a hill, and here you're in the middle of a narrow road with the car stuck. Now, she kept trying and revving up, but you know, the more you rev up, the wheels get stuck more.
Mm.
So she stopped and she said, now what do we do? In the meantime, Wandok also realized that it was pouring. So he said, I'll give my mom about half an hour. I'm sure she'll come back soon. And it became later and later. It was at 2 hours now, and it was sun was going to set. It was slightly getting dark. You know, when it rains, it gets dark. So Wandok, with his presence of mind, said, I think I need to go and see where they are stuck. So what did he take with him? Because he was so used, he took a torch. He quickly filled a flask with some hot tea and some biscuits, and he slung his bag across his shoulder, and he took some a little bit of rope also in his bag. And with his torch, when it was raining and it started getting dark, because in the rains, you know, it gets dark very quickly, and he started walking. He kept walking towards the orchid area, saying, "This is the route mother has taken. I'm sure I'll find her." And after about almost a 40-minute walk, he saw faintly, he could see in the distance some car which was almost tilting to one side in the slush. So he quickly went towards the car, and because it was raining, you know, even walking with the gumboots doesn't come easy.
Yeah.
And he reached the car and he saw his mother said, "Oh, Wandok, I'm so grateful that you have come. I'm so grateful to God that you could sense that we need you here." And then he tried to open the door, but it had got jammed. And the more you try in a car which is stuck, it tilts towards the side which where the wheel has got stuck. So somehow Wandok used a stick and put the window down and opened one side of the door and got rescued all the four ladies and his mother. And all the slush had gathered because there was a lot of you know, from the one side of the hill, a lot of mud had flown in, and there was a lot of mud and slush. And he told his mother, now we cannot take the car back, you just take the keys. And now walking in that slush, because the ladies had not worn gumboots, it was getting very slippery. So what did Wandog do? He told them, we'll have to hold each other's hand, and I'll lead the way, and you all just hold me and we'll walk and just keep walking where I've put my gumboots down, because you'll get a depression there and you can come comfortably.
Okay.
And what would have taken them 15 minutes took them almost an hour going in that rain. The rain had not stopped, thunder, lightning, slush. And then, yes, before he started, he told them all just have a sip of this hot tea, which will keep you going. Because you see, the ladies from the south were not used to that cold, that rain, and they were already feeling frozen and shivering. So he gave them that tea, and then he helped them, and one by one in a long line. And then he had this rope round his waist, and he said, look, if you know, miss my hands, just hold on to this rope, at least all of you, one behind the other. And he guided them out of this you know, very very dangerous situation, because it can be very dangerous if suddenly you have the in this torrential rain, you know, you can have lot of silt coming down the hillside, mud, silt, and so on. And he took them home, and when they reached home, they were so happy that on the veranda they could, you know, take off their muddy shoes and socks. And it was very cold. And Wandok quickly went. He was a very shy boy, I told you, but he rose to the occasion. Went into the kitchen and made a nice hot soup. And he told his mother, "Mother, you don't worry. I've got some chow mein also ready. You don't have to do anything. I managed to make the chow mein." So she looked at him and said, "But one dog, usually you never want to chop those vegetables and all. What? How did you do it?" He said, "No, no, I knew you might be late, so I just made it." And like a little shy boy, he went into his room and started playing the music. And these ladies from the south, they looked at Charlene and said, "Charlene, that was one very, very memorable, rainy monsoon magic created while we were there in your orchid area. And we are so happy that your son Wanda came and helped us out of that situation." And they could hear Wanda strumming his guitar in his room while they were having their lovely hot bowl of soup.
Oh, very lovely, Viji. All of us, my God, what a what a child, dream child, really, right? I mean, everybody wants a wandok in the monsoon for sure. Steaming hot chow mein and chai, my God, chit chat chow mein and chai. It's lovely, lovely combination. But
It
really,
comes naturally in the Northeast to whip up a chow mein and a soup. Vidya, the fastest, we say that the fast foods of today is nothing compared to that. Anything you want, a quick chow mein and a hot soup is
I
what.
can vouch for that, Viji. Every other day in the Northeast, we would absolutely be asking you about eating chow mein because it was so yum. I can see Ramendra Kumar saying such an enthralling narration. Yes, Viji, you have so many wonderful stories to share. And it's amazing. Sometimes stories of fiction, sometimes real life anecdotes. You're really a treasure trove of stories. Asha Nehmaya saying, "What a lovely story, so beautifully narrated. Thank you so much, Vijay. It really transported us into,
To the
into
north.
rainy Shillong while you were narrating that story,
No, I
Vijay."
must put in a little here. Rains, and the other thing was earthquakes.
Mm.
Shillong was one of the epicenter of earthquakes. And I'll tell you a quick, funny little incident which happened when I was in school.
Yes.
In school, we were taught that if there's an earthquake, how you need to evacuate yourself in a disciplined manner, because nuns were very particular, without making a noise and yet saving yourself when there's an earthquake. And this nun was Sister Nevis. She was telling us about earthquakes, and we had a lot of low windows. We were on a ground floor with low windows, which didn't have bars. It was just a glass, and when the windows opened, we had natural light and natural, cooling of the classroom. And here she was telling us about the earthquake, and we were all very tuned to understanding that when there's an earthquake, what we need to do. We were very, very well trained in that. Even today, I remember all that. And just then, the windows rattled. The earthquake gives you an indication by a slow rattle, just a little vibrance, and then it shakes the building and the windows and everything as if it's going to fall over your head. And the nun picked up her habit and literally, because it was low window, jumped out of the window while we all looked at her with our mouths open and eyes open. But I'll never forget that I know what I have to do when there's an earthquake.
Just lovely. Pick up that sari or that habit and just jump out of the window.
Everyone has to make a habit of
So those were the fun things.
Sham telling you a damn good line. Everybody better make a habit of jumping out of
Correct. Absolutely.
the window.
Provided you're not in an apartment. Huh?
Yes, indeed. Sunila Kulkarni Gupta saying, "What a wonderful story. We just loved it." Tamanna saying, "That was really fun. Thank you so much, Vijay Auntie. Loved it." Mutama saying, "No wonder Vijay whips up a lovely meal within minutes, any
Oh,
time of the day." Sunila saying again, "Thank you. I've heard such lovely stories about the Northeast from my friends. Thank you so much for sharing this." And Naveen Menon saying, "A lovely story rendered so well." Ladies and gentlemen, I know that talk of chow mein and hot soup perhaps making you all hungry, but I have to say that you have a small taste of Viji's lovely stories. So please do consider reading her books, and all of them in stock at Funky Rainbow. Chip Chirp Hoot, The Sounds of Nature, and other stories. And I'm sure, we should set up a session where Viji tells us a story from each of her books.
Yes.
There is, of course, the natural wonders of India, and there is a mention of the rainy places of Mausan Ram in Chip Chirp Hoot, like Viji says, and other natural wonders of India in the natural wonders of India, and sun magic with her famous and lovely Jilmil the butterfly, whom children love, adults love, Team Funky Rainbow loves. So, Viji's wonderful books, definitely to be read by all of you, all available at Funky Rainbow. I can see Anuradha Nagraj sending hearts and smileys. What a wonderful family you have, Viji. That's your daughter. And I can imagine how much they've been regaled by wonderful stories growing up. Thank you so much, Vijay. We must have you back in one bazaar where you get 2 hours to tell stories right through, because I know we're all going to be sitting either with our jaws dropped open because of nuns jumping over windows with her lifting their habits, or with such marvelous evocative tales of the fantastic Northeast. Thank you indeed, Vijay, for
Thank
joining us
you.
at the bazaar today. We'll see you soon someday. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vidya, Muttamma, Sham, and your team for inviting me for this beautiful bazaar today. I just love being with all of you, and God bless you all, and you rock.
Thank you, says the loveliest rock star of our lives. Thank you so much, Vijay. I can see many, many more comments, and I shall certainly share it with them, with you, once the show is done. A quick round of hellos to the rest of the people: Ramendra Kumar, Swarna Lata Veerappan, Uma Leogal, Asha Nehemiah, Tamanna, Mona Desai, Jyoti Meenakshi, Naveen Menon, and Anuradha Ragraj. Thank you so much for joining us at Funky Rainbow's Book Bazaar. Just one last line of conclusion. May there always be books in your lives, come rain or shine. And with that, bye bye. Enjoy your weekend and have a wonderful one reading books. See you next week. Bye.